Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the old school game snob, and today we are playing Gods Unchained. If you are not familiar with Gods Unchained, it is a card game, very much like Hearthstone, actually made by one of the creators of Magic the Gathering. I got into this game about a year ago, and I've been super hooked on it ever since. So this is an up-and-coming card game based in the cryptoverse. This is a cryptocurrency play-to-earn card game, like I say, designed by one of the creators of Magic the Gathering. I was never into card games before I played this, but it's kind of like Hearthstone, I hear. I never played Hearthstone, I was never into card games. Couldn't understand why people enjoyed card games. To me it just seemed kind of boring, but then one day my girlfriend got me to try this one, and well, it's a part chess. And by chess I mean the board game chess, that deep strategic thinking. It's a part deck building. It's kind of a part poker as well, because you never really know how the cards are going to fall, and there's a lot of emotion that goes into the way the cards unfold. There can be a lot of interesting storytelling that comes out of each game. You just never know how it's going to go. It's not actually storytelling per se, but each game sort of tells its own story, and that it kind of grips you and enthralls you and has you on the edge of your seat. It's funny that a card game can do this, but I have absolutely noticed this every time I play. It's really fun. Anyway, let's take a closer look. So this is the GU decks, where you kind of track all player stats, all the various cards and what decks are doing well and that sort of thing. You can also look back at all your previous matches. And so for the match we're going to be looking at first, this was kind of a fun one that I was just kind of experimenting with, because the Gods Unchained game just dropped a new deck called Divine Order. And in that deck there are some interesting cards, and one of those interesting cards includes not anything in this. Oh yes, here we go, the Spiny Porcupine. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. It's a 4 mana card with only 1 attack and 1 hit point. But what it has is a new feature that was recently added called Armor. Armor 4, which basically means this card has to be hit for 4 damage, actually 5 damage. 4 damage would be absorbed entirely. That 5th point of damage would do damage to it. And I thought, well, 1/1 card is not very strong. It can only attack for 1. It can only take 1 point of damage, but it has 4 points of armor, so that's great. What would happen if we did a little something fun here? What would happen if we added Swelling Boon onto this card? Each turn, Swelling Boon increases the character's stats by 5 points, randomly divided between the character's strength and health. So this tough little porcupine that's super hard to damage because of all that armor would suddenly start growing into a super porcupine. And with that idea in mind, I built a deck, and that's the game we're going to look at today. All right. So right now I am playing the Nature God, and I'm facing up against the Magic God. We are currently on mana 2, that is turn 2. You can see in the bottom right there, that's the number of mana that you have. Every round you get an additional point of mana up until mana 5, and then it slows down. You get an additional mana every 2 turns until mana 8, and then mana 8 slows down again and again. We won't get into that specifically right now, but right now we are approaching mana 3. So in my hand I have a bunch of cards that cost mana 6 and mana 5. Not actually great, but I do have board control at the moment. That means I have a card on the table and he has nothing on the table at the moment. Now, depending on which god you play, you get access to a different collection of cards. There are neutral cards that any god can use, and then there are specific cards that only the correct god, the god of that domain, can use. So I just played my Swelling Boon on my little tree sprout here, my Marsh Walker card. That gives it +5 stats per turn, so an additional +5 strength or a +5 health, divided randomly between the two. This was the card that we were talking about just a minute ago that I thought would be a lot of fun to put on one of those heavily armored porcupines that only has like a 1/1 to start. So right now what I'm doing is I'm actually growing a super tree with already 4/6 stats on turn 4. This is already looking like a very scary card, and he doesn't have a lot on the table, and wouldn't you just know it, my little porcupine comes up. And I got pretty lucky with the mulligan, with the cards that I'm getting, because I actually got both of my Swelling Boons and my Porcupine basically as soon as I needed him. So the strategy that I was aiming for actually came up really nicely. So that's a lot of luck. That doesn't always happen, because you draw randomly from a deck of 30 cards, and you can only have 2 of each kind of card in your deck. Unless it's a legendary card, then you can only have 1 of each legendary kind of card. So I was pretty lucky to get one of my porcupines come up. I was pretty lucky to get both of my swelling boons come up. Right now my little tree, my Marshwalker tree, has grown into a very scary 5-10 stats tree, and he really doesn't have a lot on the board to answer it with. So I'm easily able to have board control in this case, and there I pop my other swelling boon onto my heavily armored porcupine. Then I just throw a little bit of damage at his god, because the goal of this game, of course, is to take out the opponent's god with your creatures, with magic spells, with a variety of things. My porcupine now has 5 attack and 2 health and 4 armor to get through before it can even be damaged. My little Marshwalker, my 1 mana tree, has grown into an incredibly scary 6/11 tree with 1 regen per turn. I don't think he really knows what to do here. At this point, he's so far behind. There's probably not much, he's probably not feeling like there's much he can do. And I dare say that is the case. But this is an interesting game because you never know when it's going to turn around. You might be ahead, and then your opponent could drop something that's very difficult to deal with. In this case, he could turn my tree into a rat and basically take it out of the game. You can kill it, of course, with stronger creatures, with spells and various other things, and sometimes you can just transform it into something entirely ineffective. So there's lots of different ways to attack, to defend, to clear other cards off the table. Anyway, my hand is looking very good with my 8/4 armor porcupine, my 8/11 tree. To put that into perspective, 8/11 is the kind of stats you might be able to get when you get to around 8 mana. And I'm using, right now I've got a 1 mana tree that's been buffed up to that, and a 4 armor porcupine. Anyway, this is kind of a fun, silly LOL sort of game here, because that incredibly powerful porcupine, that 10-15 tree, is really ridiculous, and yeah, but it's actually kind of an interesting deck to play because it gives your opponent a very difficult situation to try to deal with. Like, how do you deal with such a powerful porcupine if you don't have some sort of clearing card? Like I said, like Ratify is what it's called, that actually transforms your opponent's card into a rat. Yeah, in this case, he really doesn't have much in the way of answers. I don't think this guy was terribly experienced at the game, but you know what? That's okay. This is an introduction video to teach anybody who doesn't know about Cards Unchained what the basic concept of the game is about. So I am going to be uploading additional games with additional sort of talk-throughs and walkthroughs, and explain my thinking on strategy and things like that. And that's what this channel is going to be about. It's going to be games of Gods Unchained, strategy, and yeah, basically just kind of the fun of watching the card game unfold. I don't know about you guys, but I actually really enjoy watching this game unfold. You never know what's going to happen. And so yeah, okay, hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe if you dig this channel, because I'm actually going to be covering a lot of Gods Unchained, but maybe some other cryptocurrency related games as well, if any cool ones come up. Right now I don't really have my eye on anything, but I do really like this one. And so yeah, if something cool comes up, I'll probably cover some additional crypto games. Yeah, okay, hey, thanks for watching.